Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be the video of the first small deck I'm going to put on this tiny house. So just got the most of the material, and I'm kind of letting it dry out. It's a little soaking wet. It blows. I mean, these boards are super heavy, so I'm just going to let them dry out a little bit. I had them propped up against the house, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set these footer blocks in the ground a little bit, and take my 2 posts. These are 10-foot posts. Take them up and then connect them to a ledger board across the roof and get everything square, and run my floor joists off the house out here to the to my front board, ledger board, maybe that's what you call it. I don't know. We're kind of just winging this one. I saw a bunch of YouTube videos, and this is a smaller deck, and I'm not putting anything in the ground, so it shouldn't be too hard. All right, let's get started on it. So what I'm doing right here is just digging the my concrete block down about 4 to 5 inches into the ground, and then I'll set my post on it, and I'll run my 2x6 from post to post, and they should align with the house. Just going to level it up here and do the same with the other side. You want to make sure you're level, so if you got to remove some dirt or add some dirt, go ahead and do that. Here I'm just going to set this 2x6 down and put a level on top of it and see how much I got to go down or come up. All right, just to get everybody caught up. So we measured 74 inches off the house and landed it right here in the center. And then 74 off the house to the center. You could probably use stakes and line, probably be a lot easier. I'm eyeballing this, so we'll see how it turns out. And then I ran the front board across and then just leveled it to make sure they're both level. And now I'm gonna put the post in, grab some little scrap 2x4s to hold them up and make sure they're square. And then I'll run a floor joist connected to the house to my post, and then run across the front and then connect to the side over there. And then I'll just run my floor joists from the house to the outside leisure board. I'm just taking my square here and leveling this board up with the house so it comes off somewhat square to my 4x4. All right, y'all just watch me kind of level it up. I'm gonna put some, we're gonna drill some holes in right here so I can put these lag screws in it, 2 4-inch lag screws. I'm not gonna use bolts just because I don't have any. This is what I have, so I'll show you all what I'm gonna use. These, they should work. So we'll put 2 in here. Miriam held the front board up. I got the measurement, it's 106 5/8, and we just cut it and stuck it up there. Now I'm gonna go in and put the 4-inch lag screws in, and she's measuring 16 on center so we can get our joists connected to the house and the outside ledger board. So we got the measurement from the house to the outside ledger board, and that is 76 5/8. So we're gonna go ahead and mark that, and we're gonna cut all these floor joists 76 5/8. If I can find my pen. There it is. 76 5/8. And then put some longer screws in right here and right there to hold it against the house.
Longer?
Yeah, we'll get them though. They can set there for now. We'll get this nailed. We'll get this screwed in out here using these nails. So we'll go ahead and put 2 screws here to hold it, and then we'll go get more joist hangers and put them on the inside. All right. And then we'll just repeat that process all the way to the end here. And like I said, we'll come back and put joist hangers. I don't think I have enough today, but we'll put them right in the inside here. All right, moving right along here. Miriam looks like she needs a hand. We're gonna put the next 2 in. I cut this one 1 inch short, so I'm gonna have to go back to Lowe's and get another one. And I gotta go get some more decking boards and more joist hangers. So we're not gonna finish it today, but we'll get this board in and call it a day. All right, day 2 of the deck. I went to Lowe's and bought the rest of the material. Got some more screws, joist hangers, and we'll go ahead and install these 2, and I'll be ready to start my floor. Floor is pretty simple. Then I'm gonna cut, notch out here, figure out where my measurement is, give me some slope off the roof, put my ledger board up there and run some 2x4 rafters. So let's get started. All right, just kind of showing you all where I'm putting the screws and what kind of screws I'm using. So use some exterior grade. They said 1.5 inches, but all I could find was 1 5/8. But that'll hold it, and it's not coming through the other side, so that's good for me. Another thing, when you're cutting your boards here, I cut mine like 1/8 of an inch, a little too long. So when you don't have another set of hands, you can kind of just, like I did, it kind of held it up there for you. And it makes it a little easier. Just a quick tip. See how it says LUS 26Z? That's a 2x6 joist hanger. But you want to get the ones with the Z on the end because they're corrosion resistant, and when they certain metals will rot away when you put them up against pressure treated boards, because the treatment in the board can rot your joist. So you want to make sure it has, I don't know if y'all can see that very well. See that Z on the end, LUS 26Z. Make sure they have the Z's on them. So right here, it calls for a 2.5 inch structural screw, just to hold the board up against the house. All the joist hanger is doing is holding it from going down. Now we gotta lock it in here, and there's 2 on each side. 2.5 inch structural screws exterior. All right, went ahead and put the rest of the screws in. All the joist hangers are in. And now let's get these out of the way. Make sure you're still level. I just leveled them both up, and they're still good. So let's pull these off, and let's get a measurement from end to end and start cutting our deck boards down. I think we're going to leave a 1/2 inch overhang on each side. So I got them laid out. I'm going to do I got it marked here, 1 inch overhang. I really don't know what you're supposed to do, but I'm going to do 1 inch on each side. That just kind of seems like enough overhang for me. So let's get it cut. It's 9 foot 1/2 inch. So I'm gonna cut a bunch of these and we'll lay them down. So when you're cutting your boards, just keep in mind, like this here is kind of damaged, so I'm gonna cut this piece. I don't want this piece down there, so this is the piece we'll cut off. And then also, if you got split ends, like see how that's starting to split, make sure that's the piece you're cutting off. And also, it's got the writing on it, so I'm cutting here, and all this will be just scrap. And another thing, when you're laying your boards out, just kind of look them over, because some of them will have discrepancies, like that, or in this rod here. So you don't want that up. You want your best side up. So, I mean, this side's not that much better, but hey, what do? when you're buying Lowe's lumber. So to screw our decking boards down, I'm going to use these exterior 2.5 inch wood screws. All right, a couple things I forgot to mention. You can start out here and then work your way in. But I'm gonna work my way from this side over. But you can start out here and butt it up to each end. What about the bows and the boards and stuff? See how the lumber is almost like the smiley face here? Well, this lumber will bow upwards, so we want to flip it. We want it face down like that when we screw them in. Also, when they bow across, we want them to go like a rainbow across, and then we can screw it down. Because if we do it the other way, where it's bowed like this, can peel up on the sides. And like I said, make sure if you got splits on the end, make sure that's what you cut off, because that split will widen over time, and then water will get in there and it'll cause rot. So cut those splits, and when you're allowing your gaps, so this stuff's wet. It's heavy and it's wet. It's gonna shrink. You can butt it all up together like that and go ahead and screw it down, and then it'll shrink and you'll have a gap. I'm gonna go ahead and put the gap in, and I'm going to use my square as my gap. So I'm gonna measure it just like this. I'm gonna drop my square in. And that's gonna be my gap. All right, that was just. Make your flush out here. Put your square there. Put one in it. I'm gonna go all the way across, making sure it's square enough. Come back with the second row screws in. I'm gonna have to pre-drill this stuff. Some of these pressure treated boards is too tough to screw pierce it and go through it, so I'm gonna pre-drill it. All right, we'll just continue that process all the way out until I get out here, and I'll show y'all how I cut around that. So we get it here, it fits in down there, and then up here we're running to this. So all I'm gonna do, instead of recutting this board, I'm gonna take these screws out and back this board up just a little bit so it'll sit down in there. And the reason being is these gaps over here, the boards were crooked, so I had to push them in, and I couldn't get them all the way over, so it was kind of hard to hold it and push it over and screw it in. So that's why we're ending up like we are here in this predicament.
Here I'm just measuring the cut around the 4x4, but I make an amateur mistake and cut it wrong, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second.
All right, fits in there. I'm gonna cut that piece down and put it there. And just did the same to the other side. I'm gonna go ahead and screw it in. You can tell though it's got a gap as it comes down. So I'm just gonna put a screw in there and push it. Yeah, push it to cover that gap. Put a couple screws in it, and the platform is done. All right, so to cover this up, I'm just gonna use the piece I cut earlier, put it in there, drill 2 holes, put some screws in it, come out here and cut it off. So obviously I made an amateur mistake. This is amateur hour, guys, and that's why I had to do that. I should have just cut when I had the board here. When I made these 2 measurements, I should have measured this too to cut here, and then that would it just would have slid in with this piece still connected here. But I make dumb mistakes a lot, so hopefully you guys don't make that when you build yours. But there it is. There's the platform at least. Now let's start on the roof. All right, so went ahead and cut with my Tim snips the flashing up here and peeled it up so I know where to put my ledger board. On top of the ledger board is going to be a piece of plywood and metal. So I got to make sure that this is going to go, this gap, this space right here is going to be able to slide up in there. So we're going to go ahead and measure this. It looks to be about 1.5 inches. Yeah, we'll go we'll go a little above 1.5 inches, 1 5/8. Give us some room. So when your ledger board's up there, you'll want the top of the ledger board, you'll measure down from here 1 5/8 and start your ledger board. Because once you put, ledger board down 1 5/8, because once you put your piece of plywood on and then that metal for the roof, you're gonna be up pushing on that, and that's what you want. So let's get a ledger board across there and measure it down 1 5/8 and stick it up there and start running our roof rafters. And now out here, I had measured, I've got it measured where I want to cut it, and I'm gonna lay a 4x4 across, connecting each one, and that's where my roof rafters are gonna rest. But it's tricky because there's not much slope here. It doesn't give us much drop at all. So for me to get in here and not have to duck is just as low as I could go. So we're gonna cut these off too and get the, I got a 2x4 or a 4x4 over there. I'm gonna lay on top of it. All right, we got our big beam up. It's square. It's even on each end, and now we're gonna put these brackets I bought. I got them from Lowe's. I think they're like 15 bucks. And I'm gonna use these screws here to install them. They got super big heads on them, so hold it in there and keep your beam from falling off. So one thing I forgot to do is just make sure the beam's level. You don't know if you got to take more off one end or the other. Just make sure it's level, and ours looks to be good enough. All right, the brackets are there. Now let's go put the ledger board up. Then we'll get the measurements for our rafters and call it a day. So I need it even with this outside post. To get it even back there, I just took the measurement off of here, from here to here. Took that measurement, marked it, measured it here, then measured from here all the way out to the end of my beam out there, which brought me to right here, and made that mark. So I made that mark and I measured from the inside to that mark, and I copied it inside to the mark down there, and I just drew a line, and I knew that's where the edge of the ledger board should be. And to get the length of the ledger board, I just measured the length of this, and that's how I got it. And to put it up there, I just put that little bracer there to kind of hold it hard, really hard by yourself. Now I got to go on the inside and find out where the studs are. So we're just coming from the inside of the door and measuring over, and each 2x4 we hit, we'll do the exact same measurement on the outside. We'll measure from here over, and that's how we'll get our 2x4s. Same thing, we're just gonna use these structural screws here, 4 inches long. All right, so we're just gonna stick it right up here on the outside, flush with the top, and I'm gonna go ahead and score it. And then that's the angle we gotta cut. I know you probably can't see it, the sun's creating a shadow. Now, I'm gonna take you over to the beam and show you how I get that. So we take it all the way out to the edge, put a, preferably a 2x4, but this is a scrap piece I had on hand, and just trace around your top and come across, and that will give you your measurement. So this joist will set perfectly square to the 2x4 or 4x4. And then so once you cut that angle, you got your piece, your scrap piece that had, you cut off, and you come down here and you've cut out your 4x4 so it can rest on your 4x4. You want to cut an angle out here too, the same angle you cut against the house. So when you run your fascia board, it sets square to the ground. Now, the piece we cut from the top of the board that's going to hook into our ledger board there, we'll just take it, here's the piece, and lay it just like that and mark it, and that'll give you the angle, the same angle you have up there. It's the easiest way to do it. We've already cut ours, so this one's ready to go. I'll just lay these out on the next 8 2x4s, and we got a template and we can just run them off that. One thing I did over there, when I installed the first one, I put the rafter here, flush with the outside of the ledger board, and you obviously got nowhere to screw, so bring it in to about right here. You don't want to put it here either, because those screws will split the edge of the end of the wood, so you want to come in probably about right there. All right, there it is. Just got back from Lowe's. I needed some more decking boards for the other smaller deck I'm gonna put on here. and I got a bunch of them on the half off rack. Now they're bent and bowed up, but I don't need a whole 12-foot board, so they're usually like $9 to $12. I got them for like $6, so bought a bunch of those. And this 16-footer was out there on the half off rack too. I mean, it's bow, but I only need 12 foot of it, and then the remaining board I can use elsewhere. But yeah, so I picked all those up and got the metal, 3 metal sheets for the roof, and another extra piece of plywood, some screws and stuff. So we'll get started on the roof, and hopefully we can finish the small porch today. All right, got our first sheet of plywood down, and you can see when it comes out here to the end, that's why you do 16 on center, you'll have half the 2x4 to place your next sheet of plywood up, and it has something to rest on. So if you want to walk around on the roof, you can, and you don't have to worry about a piece of plywood out here not hitting anything. So we're putting these exterior screws, we're gonna go ahead and put these up here into the pressure treated. You don't want to put a regular nail in that, it'll rot over time. Way ahead of myself, and my ladder's right here. So I'm gonna try to swing down and step on that one and get off this roof. I got the measurement here though, 22 and a half. I'm gonna go down here and cut a piece of plywood at 22 and a half. Stick it here. We'll be done with the roof sheeting. I didn't get any drip edge. I forgot drip edge. And I was thinking those are 4 foot wide. They're not 4 foot wide. If they were 4 foot wide, I'd have enough to do the roof. They're not. They're like 3 foot wide. So I'm missing like a foot. So I gotta go back to Lowe's and get another sheet of that. All right, plywood's on. Now it's time to get off the ladder. And I don't know if I'm gonna put felt paper down up there or just go ahead and lay this tin up. Probably should just do it right. Go ahead and put the felt paper up. want your piece coming off the slope of the roof to overlap this piece. So the water runs off and not down in there, it just runs off. So we're gonna be laying these sheets. We're gonna make sure they come all the way up and under my flashing here. We'll get them even over there and we'll screw them down with these roofing metal screws. They got little washers on them, and they go in just enough so they won't poke out the plywood at the bottom. So I'm just using these 10 snips. I'm gonna cut the line there so it'll fit up on the roof and not too much overhang. There's Lakely again. Lakely, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hey, Lex. well, that's the metal roof. And if you want more details on how I did this or installed the regular metal roof, I have another video, so just go and watch that for more details. But I'll go over this real quick. It just goes up under this metal, so when the water hits here, runs off here, hits here, comes down, gives you a metal roof. Can't get back in there to rot out your wood.